Hey everyone, welcome back to the Why We Heal show, and I am Zuyapa. Today I've got a very special guest, Andrew Davis, who is my personal body worker. And I'm really excited to have Andrew on today because as we talk about healing and why it matters, it's really important to talk about all the ways that we are a complete being and all the ways that our body, our energy, our soul, our spirit take form and shape and show up in our daily lives. And so today we'll be talking to Andrew about healing, his method and processes, the way he works with the body and the energy system, as well as his own practices for keeping his energy together and some of the healings that he's received. So let's welcome Andrew and we will begin. Hey, Andrew, thanks for coming on.
Yes, Zuyapa. Oh, my pleasure. So glad and fortunate to have the privilege of meeting you and you coming into my circle of healing and getting to share knowledge with you. So I'm really grateful for that,
Yeah,
first of all.
likewise, likewise. It was perfect, perfectly timed, divinely orchestrated, and just everything that we needed.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. So, I'm Andrew Davis, and I do a holistic form of body work that I've been apprenticing with a gentleman here in Louisiana. He's been doing it for about 60 years, and I'm almost 10 years into that apprenticeship. And what we do is help use the brain and the subconscious autonomic system to heal the body, remove scar tissue, move injuries, realign all the systems of circulation, lymphatics, uh, muscles, and the connective tissue of the fascia. The fascia is an interlaced web-like network that keeps everything coordinated. And so it flows around our bones, it coats the follicles of your hair, your eyeballs. It's a word I like, ubiquitous.
Mm. That's a good word.
Yeah, yeah. So it's, from the spiritual side, it's the closest thing that I could fathom God to be,
Mm.
just in everything, through everything, around it. And what's really cool, if you do a dissection of fascia, it's actually it's iridescent. It just
Is
looks
it?
like a rainbow. And it
Shut
shimmers.
up. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really cool.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so
And we can think
uh
about fascia as, I mean, I'm not to cut you off. We're not going straight into it yet, but
mhm.
you saying that makes me think. So we can think about fascia even as a system, like a way that energy flows through the system. Because I think about
Absolutely.
in my qigong practice, I've learned that you shake out your fascia every morning. And I know that when I
Yes.
do that, it's like shaking off the cobwebs from the night before, and I feel myself just start to open up and soften.
Yeah.
So having that visual now is going to make it even better.
Yes. That's right. With every twist and turn, those rainbows shimmer.
So shoot rainbows out of your
Yeah.
fingers if you loosen your fascia.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And so that brings me to the next segment of healing. Um, well, it turns out that because of that interconnectedness, it responds to everything in us, to our thoughts, our feelings, especially. Um, and it's sort of a two-way street. Is once you feel something, your body's communicating with you and you're communicating with your body.
Mhm.
It's just now enough has happened that some kind of signal or response that you're not necessarily in control or aware of comes up and you go, oh, that's a pain. And okay, like, oh, or this is moving. Oh, this is clicking. Different things happen or gurgles and so many different sounds that the body can make in response. But that fascia interlaces all of it to our life support system. Yeah. hmm So you heal that, and so much of what was trauma, what were injuries, resolve themselves completely.
Mhm. And then the effect of that is that then you just live your life.
Oh, you live your best life.
Live your best life.
Oh,
That's one of the things
oh,
that I really enjoy about the day after I work with you. It's like I have said this many times, and I know I'm going to say it a lot because it's very true for me, but my body is very sensitive. So I feel like pains and I feel tension and tightness and all these things.
yeah.
And when I come and we have the session, but I guess the point of that is I get used to it. And I think, oh, I have to work
Mm-hmm.
out. Oh, I have to stretch this thing, or oh, whatever's going on. And then I come and have a session, and the next day I'm like, oh, I feel normal.
Yeah.
Just feel normal. And then I remember that how much I didn't feel normal, but I thought that was normal.
Yep.
Think about how many people walk around with so much tension stored in their bodies and so much all the things that manifest, right? The angst, the all the things, and it becomes normal, but really
Absolutely.
normal is softness. It's
Yeah.
surrender to the
Truly.
flow of life, you know?
Yeah. Look at babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just these little blobs of water. And as we form, the things that help us stay upright is a balanced level of tension, rigidity, and softness all together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, remembering that we're mostly water, and when water gets hard, we call it ice,
Mm,
and nobody likes to have so much ice on the inside.
that's right. That's right. Hmm. All right. So this is a good intro, but let's switch gears for a little bit. And I will ask you the standard starting question, which is,
Okay.
if you're ready, what is healing in your perspective?
Hmm. In my perspective, healing is it's a big aspect of healthy living. It's the byproduct of healthy living. And so if dying was the byproduct of unhealthy living, then healing would be the byproduct of healthy living, in which the choices that we make bring us a sense of well-being, bring us into a deeper sense of who we are, and in a calm way. There's a lot of excitement to be had in life, but underlying that excitement is the ability to be at peace, to be contented and joyful, kind of as the foundation and undercurrent. And when we're in a state of optimum health, well-being is something that we don't think about. We just experience and live, and then we meet other people and we share that, and they go, "Oh, well, you seem so well today." It's like, "Oh, I kind of am. That's fine." And when things happen to us, or we have those moments where things shift so drastically that we fall out of alignment and begin to experience a dull or muted kind of way of life,
Mhm.
then we get back to finding out that, oh, we probably did some things that weren't really healthy for us, whether it was saying yes when you really meant no, or or neglecting something that you knew was going to come back for you later, and you go, okay, well, all right, I learned now. And here we go. Now it's healing time. We've had some contrast in the things that really did not work for us. And now we're able to say, okay, healthy feels like this. And there it goes. Healing,
Mhm.
healing, healing, healing. And so, as perpetual as our life is, so is our healing and our growth. Mhm.
Hmm. I like that. I have some gems that I wrote down that I want to come back to. But one
Yeah.
of them, which is a very interesting concept, is you said healthy living. Wait, you said healthy living is something, but then you said dying is unhealthy living.
Mm.
And that's something that I kind of want to talk about because I'm aware that in some traditions, they say that we don't necessarily, the body doesn't have to die, but the way we treat it is what kills it. And some people think that dying is normal and the way we die is normal. So I would love to know if you have some perspective on that, or you can go deeper into what you meant by dying is unhealthy living.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
also micro deaths, right? We have so many micro deaths,
Mm.
healthy living.
Right,
So,
right. So like, um, you have the shamanic death where parts of you have to be cut away and done away with. Um, and in that, I think of composting. The
mm,
composting process takes these various organic materials and then it's balanced out with things that are already sort of in a different phase, right? And so as we transform those parts of us that were not healthy for us, getting composted, nothing in nature is ever wasted. So we can't imagine that anything with us is truly wasted either. It's just how we know what to do with it later. And so taking those experiences of unhealthy living that clearly brought us to places that had to die was like, sorry, you can't live. You don't, it's not in alignment. It's not going to fortify your body. And so dying to those old ways still plays a big role in allowing um, who we really are to live. And so what I found for myself is that nourishment comes through all of the senses. So, what I'm feeling, think about good company. When you're in the presence of good company, the flow of positive feeling is often more intense than the flow of negative feeling.
mm,
And that right there says if you go to a restaurant, you want the best thing on the menu. Nobody goes in there and goes, hey, give me the worst dish you have. Like let me taste the worst that you have. I just want to be totally disgusted right now. And I don't know too many people. It might be a fun social experiment to try, but for the most part, everyone enjoys feeling good. And when that happens, we can sometimes not be able to receive it because, oh, well, these conditions are saying that I shouldn't feel good right now. Like or whatever it might be. And so we end up ignoring kind of our own emotional guidance system. And that emotional guidance system has to be calibrated as we progress through our maturation process. And so, who the child was, who the adolescent was, who the young adult into our 30s, and now, I mean, we're living even longer into our hundreds. So our maturation process is even extended. So there's people in their 60s that are just now really discovering who they really are. And that's great that they discover it in general, no
mhm,
matter how many Earth years it takes.
that's right.
But having had to go through so many experiences that wore their bodies down, they sometimes you get to a point and go, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep subjecting myself to something that is so arduous. And by default, people go, okay, easy living. All right, I'll have easy living. And next thing you know, they're feeling better, they're looking younger, they're doing more when the entire time it was them choosing to uh, continue investing in what they know didn't feel right. It
Mhm.
didn't really feel healthy, but they made do. You go, well, I do what I got to do. That's just how it is,
That's right.
you know? And I look, I have a hard head sometimes. I can really persevere through certain adversities almost with blinders on. It's just like I'm just keep pushing until something different happens. Well, yeah, you're gonna find out a lot about that. However, if we take a second and ask ourselves, does this really feel good to me? Let loose of all the judgments. Stop worrying about what someone else is going to think, because in that moment, it's really about you.
Mhm,
And, and that's such an indicator about how we feel. It is the most loving kind of selfishness if we allow ourselves to feel less than, to feel, um, really invested in any of the negative criticism and things like that, well, we're going to do things to perpetuate that feeling. And that's going to be unhealthy. We're going to eat fried chicken and like baked pork chops and double fried baked pork chops with collard greens. You know what I'm saying? I love pork chops. It's a good thing. But I also love some butternut squash with a little cinnamon on the side. I love some good sweet potatoes. And it becomes indicative of being in tune with your emotions and recognizing how we're deciding to nourish what we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And the better we feel, we choose nourishment that perpetuates that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so if I have an enhanced sense of well-being, I feel light in my body and my body feels strong and my mind feels focused. Well, the next thing that I take in, I want it to perpetuate that because
Mm-hmm.
that's healthy.
Right.
I'm already experiencing a sense of vibrance. And this goes back again to the things we tell ourselves. Having a huge meal or something like that, soul food. Look, I mean, I like soul food for sure. It's just that we're not supposed to have to take a nap after eating, at least not at 3, 4 hours.
Right. It's such a momentary, a fleeting joy, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And there's some kind of repercussion that drains your energy.
That's right.
So I'm not saying that a good nap's wrong, nothing like that, but it's becoming aware that what I'm taking in, is it perpetuating my well-being or is it bringing it down?
Mm-hmm.
And and that's where, well, yeah, I mean,
That's where it all is.
down and decline. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Life and death
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, and I feel like it's probably something that's going to come up a lot as I do these episodes because I know I talk about it a lot, even in my personal life. And
Yeah,
that's that if a person never experienced anything else, they don't know the difference. So,
yes,
what creates the moment where they can have a new experience that creates a new baseline? Because what you're talking about, and what a recent episode I did with another friend, we also talked about is that to become in alignment, you have to know what's off. And then, so, I mean, ideally, that's the point of this series as well, that I want to give people a reason to go into body work or to go into healing just to know the difference, just to have the
yes,
experience, and then create a new baseline. So you can start saying, I'm going to make another choice because I've had a new experience that has shown me that something else is possible, something more than what I thought was possible. This good feeling I thought that I had, that maybe there's another type of feeling that feels good and better in a different way.
mhm,
So, yeah, just it's interesting because education and experience and exposure is the key to everything. You were talking about being a baby, and when children, the more they're exposed to, the more they grow and evolve, you know.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
so, something we talked about when we were talking about doing this episode was, even in working with you, the exposure that I get to the interconnectivity of my own body and energy systems helps me to expand and grow in so many ways as well. So
mhm.
maybe you can talk about, share some things with people about, um, yeah, that interconnectivity of the body. I know we said that you can use some examples from me if you need them or if you want them. If you have your phone, you can totally use, whatever you want. But I do think it's really important to give people that option to know something they didn't.
Absolutely. Right on. Yeah. One of the things that became so vitally clear and important to me when I started learning this work. Um, for one, our organs can lose enough circulation to harm us, right? And that connective tissue goes directly through all of those. So learning that we can actually loosen our life support system and keep it vitalized that way was one thing. How the next part was how much intuitive understanding I gained by getting this kind of body work. And so you kind of touched on it a moment in your explanation and introduction of this question, but that you find out where what you were feeling was being communicated in the body. And not only that, you start to feel how it's connected to your side or to a muscle or to a hip or even to another movement that you were doing. And you go, oh, I was trying to move this way, but I just needed to pivot a little. And so all of that connective tissue helps us orient our body to itself, to its own center, right?
Mhm.
Well, needing um needing the experience of what center actually is one of the places where getting body work really helps, especially what I do. We often can't even feel our own pulse or our heart beating inside of our body. And so loosening and actually sometimes moving the connective tissue so that person's nerves that provide sensation to the body are resensitized.
Mhm.
And once they're resensitized, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, I can hear this message coming through loud and clear. We can't move anything inside of our bodies if we can't feel
Mhm.
it. So, for shoulder, go lift it, go for shoulder. That's about it. And they have to move it to the next part, and then great, it works. Well, there's a break in the communication there. And so that communication is controlled by our autonomic brain.
Mhm.
And all of those nerves are continuous. When you look at charts and things, it looks like they end and start, but everything's continuous. So maintaining um, that continuity either keeps us on center or off center. So the slow movements of Qigong and coordinated to our breathing help us feel some of those smaller, subtle, gentle connections that just won't happen if you're moving fast. Um, so getting this kind of body work started to help me understand how the say how the front of my shoulder impacted the back of my shoulder and how my groin impacted the front of my shoulder. So hold on a sec. Okay. And so having this understanding, first of all, that we are woven together in such a way that everything acts as a web that kind of releases and then pulls and pushes and moves and actually slides and rotates together. It does all those sorts of things. And so the liquid tissue that's fascia is oriented in different strips and banding. So those connective strips, the better I say better, when we move slowly, it gives us time to tune into them. It gives them time to coordinate. Now, we can also move fast for a duration of time and coordinate them that way too. But what starts to happen is uh, they get trained. And that training is, say, they call it a knee-jerk reaction. So somebody steps on the top of your foot, you lift your knee and jerk your foot back.
Mhm.
Well, there's a big bundle of fascia that connects to the front of your hip and that it lifts your hip. So when it gets that impact, the brain says, oh, it might be getting damaged, torn off, and automatically activates the entire connective chain, which lifts your leg without you controlling it.
Mhm.
But in everyday life, we use it to walk, we use it to switch from the accelerator to the brake, um, keep beats if you're, playing music or something, tapping your foot. So we use it in a lot of very subtle ways that because they're so integrated, we lose sight that it is a flowing chain
Mhm.
of liquid tissue that needs to continue to flow. So yeah, moving your body in different ways helps orient it and keep it in line.
Yeah, and you said as well that moving slowly helps you to tune into that better. And I think that's an important point too, because in life, people tend to move so fast. Everything moves fast. There's so much to do. There's somewhere to go. There's someone to take care of. There's, something to watch. So everyone's
Hmm.
moving so fast. So we're missing all of these moments that really are the information that we need to know what's going on within us. And
Hmm.
so,
Yes,
we're talking about healing and body work and all these things, an incredible way of slowing down and getting that information and even making the space that we need to start tuning in to know what's aligned is through breathing. And whether you incorporate that breathing with movement or you just sit and breathe or you breathe in the middle of whatever you're doing, it's still going to give you some information that allows you to refocus where you are and find a new center. And I know that breathing is something that's really key for you and you're practicing in your life. So I wanted to bring that back and offer it as a way, that's something that you can talk about, but also that people can start to incorporate.
absolutely. So the breathing component, our breathing helps to generate chi, the life force.
Mhm.
And so that life force is both flowing through our blood and helps keep our blood flowing. And so this is a good time to mention how important circulation is, which also the slow movement allows vessels to fill that maybe were collapsed, different things like that. But tuning into our breathing gives us a great indicator how our life support is handling something. So what I like to do, I take about 15 minutes a day and just sit and watch the breath go in and out of my nose. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's not really like a super frills thing, but what it does is it gives me a moment to let my body settle in one place without my mind trying to handle everything. So of course, thoughts come by, things like that, but staying right here, letting the breath go in, letting it go out, and it's like when you have a smoothie and you let it sit there long enough, and all of a sudden you can see all the layers of liquid and everything that's was normally just completely blended together. Now it's separating into its own densities, and that's a level of organization. It's a
Mhm.
level of really something cosmic because I blended it together, but I can't keep it held together that way. Eventually, everything settles into this place that it needs to be,
Mhm.
and it'll, go on like that. And so we're the same way. So being able to uh, concentrate on just your breathing for a little bit, where you're not controlling it, you're not judging it. You might notice it's shallow, you might notice that it's deep, and then hopefully you notice that it changes over the duration of that 15 minutes. And from there, we can start to do so many additional practices where we're much calmer, the flow of our breathing we can feel. And so coordinating how we move to breathing is what helps to keep our chi and our life force flowing, right? So the other aspect of well-being is if you're bringing in life force, that's going to help you feel good. You're
Mhm.
going to feel good inside your arms. You're going to have less pain inside your hips, inside your spine. So a big thing that I do is bringing my air in, and then I'll hold it, expand my rib cage, exhale it, and just let everything relax and kind of wave together. So we do a number of techniques from martial arts, from Aikido and Wing Chun that involve loosening every joint of the body in coordination to your breathing. Uh, so rarely do I have time to do every joint of my body at once, but I make time at least 30 minutes to an hour twice a day to just move myself while I'm breathing in coordination. And yeah, it just keeps getting better and better. You find that everything from digging a ditch to cooking dinner, you start to breathe with it.
Hmm.
And it keeps you in this flow that's centered. That's centered. Mhm.
And that's integral because,
Mm.
I think the core message that we're trying to give out here is that your body really matters. And that's what you think is your body. Your body is this vehicle that you travel in. Your body is this, we could almost say it's a device that interprets the energy
Yeah.
of your soul. It interprets the energy of your spirit. It carries your spirit and all of the organs, the
Mhm.
fascia, like Andrew's saying, the musculature, the veins, everything has an intelligence and a wisdom that works in tandem with energy. And not just your energy, but the chi energy that lives in the atmosphere. It is universal energy. You have access to this to feed your body, to feed your soul, which then helps you have that emotional balance. It helps you to come to center. It helps you to function and be vibrant. Like Andrew said, I love that word. I
Yes.
wrote it down, vibrancy in life, because ultimately our
Mhm.
purpose is to live life and to live life with
Yes.
that ease and that joy that can be underneath, like your undercurrent and all the other things that you're going through. So,
Mhm.
if there's anything that I think I would love you to get from this segment is to take care of your body and to be curious and to, if we can just spark this level of awareness in you that all the micro things, I keep saying micro, but all the little things that make
Yeah.
you who you are matter. Each one is
Mm.
important and each
Yes.
one can bring you back to who you are. So I'll give Andrew a minute and a half. If there's something you would like to say before I close out and wrap up and give people a chance to get in touch with you.
Hmm. Well, am I'm looking towards setting up some online practices because education is a huge part of what I do. I've been able to build a livelihood for myself because my teacher valued learning more than charging tuition. So we have things that we pay for, but ultimately, when it comes to uh, healthier living and really being uh, a loving being, a person that can, stand in the gap, hold space, be centered of your own, and really let our individual light shine. Um, we need knowledge. And it's something that, like you said, if you've come from some place that there's not much accessibility, well, I want to make it accessible. So that's always at the forefront. So if anybody ever wants to talk, I love to share. I love people that want to better themselves, their families, and their communities together. And this is ancient knowledge that has been around. It's just, we got to slow down a little bit
To
and
receive.
apply it
Mhm.
to receive it. Yeah.
Do you want to give them your
Hmm.
email address?
Yeah. You can email me at andrewdavismassage@gmail.com. And I'm also on Facebook. It's a holistic massage with Andrew Davis. So I'm located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I should be fairly easy to find though. But if I'm not, email.
Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Now you know how to reach Andrew. And of course, you can always reach me, Zuyapa Jackson, at zuyapajackson.com. And I look forward to seeing you again here next time. Have a great day.
Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.